Now we're kind of getting a chance to see players in a different light, and how we're actually getting a chance to have you guys talk and hear things from your perspective, and certain situations that like reporters like myself or other people who didn't play, who weren't like in a locker room like that, wouldn't know unless you actually played in the game, you were actually there. So what's it kind of been like to maybe, I don't know if you've watched a little bit of what Melo's been doing and Dwayne Wade, and I know that you've also been on IG Live a lot. What is that like, the difference between kind of hearing players kind of tell their side of the story and their perspective?
You know, when it comes to players, we're misunderstood because the only outlet was the media. So unless you have that media relationship with that person that's writing about you, you know, you're going to be misunderstood, because for the most part, the only time they're going to interact with you is during games, before games, after games. So it's either a win or a loss. Did you play good or didn't? So you're only getting the game player. You're not getting the guy who's outside the arena, a family man, who he is. Like, you don't get none of that personality. So what ends up happening is fans, the only way they're judging that player is by what they're seeing or hearing of him as an athlete, not as a person.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So the fact that there's no athleticism right now, there's no games, there's nothing, so there's no reporting. It's just athletes, you know, just having fun with the family. If you judge them off of what you see outside of reporting, you wouldn't have an opinion of them because you don't see them.
Right. I wish some of them might be, I wish they were a little bit more open sometimes, just because I don't like, that's what makes my job difficult sometimes, is when like I would work for a company and my boss or employer would kind of hear something and they're like, we want you to kind of dig it up. And I'm like, no, because it kind of goes against like what I like to do. And I want to say that I'm more of an advocate for athletes, just because I'm a human too. And I wouldn't want all my dirt being put out there, and like my personal life. Like there's just certain things that I don't feel comfortable with. So it always like puts me in a weird spot where it's like, well, you know, if the athlete told their side more, their perspective more, there wouldn't be a chance for the media to even put certain things in the headlines or try to get ratings and all those clicks, you know?
Yeah, you know, I learned that, you know, back in 05, 06, 07, you know, when I started blogging, that it's more about ratings than actual reporting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I used to tell reporters, what makes you any different than anyone in the arena? You make up a story, it's not true, it doesn't matter. Everyone got to click on that article at that moment, so you win. You know, I mean, you know, so it was one of those things where the reporters became like a gossip column.
Yeah.
If you didn't like a player, you went to the reporter. That's why it's called sources. You know, if you want to get a player traded, sources.
Sources
You know,
say, or who are those sources?
if you're trying to damage a player from getting traded, sources inside the locker room. You know, it just became this messy gossip thing where it's like, you know, if you want to trade Jimmy Butler, just trade him. I remember watching, I think it was Miami's first year together. I think they went up they went up 2-0 against Dallas, right?
I think so.
I think they went up 2-0, and all the reporters, even on TV, whose team is this? Is LeBron's team? Is it Dwayne Wade's team?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? Like, why is this even a narrative? Why are you even putting them? And it just sucks, because none of that is ever a thought until you put it into someone's mind. Who's better? Who's worth more, Ben Simmons or Embiid?
It's always the comparisons.
Yeah, why would you even do that now? Now they're gonna go out there and try to figure out who's better, and
now they're probably fighting. I mean, I saw some things in the headlines too. Are they going to be able to coexist? Are they one of them gonna get traded? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who comes up with these, but I definitely think there's something either within the organization that might start some of this stuff, or it's just bored reporters who can't figure out anything else to talk about.
And that's when but that's why, you know, being a locker room reporter, you don't get what you want. You get the generic answers, you get the generic, because you got to remember, it's 82 games, so your questions are going to be the same every single
all
night.
the time.
You know, so you don't really get to have that personal relationship with that player unless you had some dirt on him and you didn't release it, and then he's like, oh, thank you for, you know, having my back, and then he gives you, you know, he opens up a little bit more. But for the most part, you know, we have our guard up. You know, I remember when I was playing, I didn't talk to media before the games.
Really?
So that was my thing. I don't talk before the games because I remember it was my first year in Washington, and then, you know, a reporter asked me, said, yeah, you know, a couple players, you know, are mumbling that you're not passing the ball enough to them. So I started off the game. I didn't even shoot the first 3 quarters.
So now you're like in your head, like thinking,
Passing the ball around. We're losing, and then coach says, "Yo, what are you doing? Can you start shooting so we can win?" And then the thought of that, like, yo, that question just messed up my game.
Wow.
And then I thought, there's no question a reporter's going to ask me for the game that's going to actually help me for the game.
So there's no point.
So there was no point of actually having conversation. There was no point of on game day, I thought about no phones. I don't need no phones, because there's nothing a coach, not a coach, but a parent, someone asking for tickets, a girl. There's nothing you're gonna do to help me for tonight's game. So
there's no point at all.
So there's no point of engaging with anyone before games.